doesn't happen in reality. And it doesn't. That's why we have 25.5 veterans per day committing suicide. Every day. That's why we have more veterans out on the streets than we ever did. And homeless. ESPN 101 in St. Louis.
What?
Yes.
Oh, this is...
AFRTS.
Yes.
Armed Forces Network, sports, and most importantly, I did numerous one-on-ones, and I did have a radio show.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So you know what it's like to sit in both chairs.
Okay. I know what it is to take the foot off the accelerator. Okay. Now, the one. Wait a minute. Is that the one? Let me see. Not that one.
The next one, the My Attitude.
No. Yeah, that one I got from Coach Robinson, right there of Grambling. Sat with him for an hour in the cafeteria.
Wow.
The one, the Pyramid of Success, behind it.
The next one.
I got that from John Wooden personally.
Really?
Yes, I did.
That's freaking cool.
Okay. Then you got my bio right there.
Yeah.
Now, they made a mistake. They put my mother's school where she graduated from. They didn't put mine. But I said, hey, I ain't going to change crap.
Yeah. That was back in the printing press days,
Yes, it was. Yes. I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started. Coach D, thank you for being here. I'm introducing a new Fayette a new character to my mostly Fayette audience, but hopefully more people will hear that than just the Fayette audience here. But I'm sitting here, folks, with a binder that says, well, the title of it, what would you call this binder, Coach?
That's my portfolio.
Your portfolio. Like, it lists out his philosophy, education, behavior management plans. Is that Dematteis discipline plan?
Yes.
Is that like coined with your last name?
Yeah, Dematteis.
Wooden stuff, cover letter, resume. What on earth inspired you to make this? This podcast is brought to you by nobody. That's right. Nobody paid for this spot, but this could be your business ad, personally attested to by me with a personalized recommendation. Obviously, I have to like, your product, but I will personally attest to this ad slot. And if you're trying to reach the ears of Fayette, this is the place to do it. So if you want to advertise here, please email us at landonballstudios@gmail.com. That's LandonBallstudios@gmail.com.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you to the Fayette community. And also the gentleman over there as well.
Cody,
for doing what he does.
He still has a job this week.
That's even better.
Yep.
Okay.
Week by week contract.
There you go. All right. By the way, you sound like Walter Alston of the Dodgers. He got a year-by-year contract from the Brooklyn Dodgers all the way through L.A. Manager of the Los Angeles and Brooklyn Dodgers. Anyway.
Who's the Mets player that is still getting paid?
Bobby Bonilla. Okay. Bonilla payday once a month, $1 million. Don't remind me. Thanks. Okay.
You're a Mets fan, right?
I am, unfortunately.
I'm so
to
sorry.
be forgiven.
It's okay. I'm a Cardinal fan, and I think we just traded away everybody. Did we trade Arenado? Did you look that up?
Yes, I did.
And we did, right?
Yes, you did.
Where'd he go?
I don't remember, but I'll tell you one thing. His final words were, I'll see you later, and we'll put those in preferences points.
Sure. Yeah, so they were kind words, I'm sure.
They were,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, tell me what inspired this, because as a leader, I've certainly been encouraged to put together like leadership philosophy and stuff like that, but what has you having a binder of all your thoughts, and stuff like that?
Well, when you're new in a community like I was, my deceased wife that I was married to for 31 years, she was born and raised in St. Louis. So we have a problem with marrying Midwestern women when you're on active duty. And here it is.
Okay.
We don't take them back to the Northeast. They bring us back to the Midwest.
What is it? Is it the cooking?
No, well, yeah, she was a very good cook.
Okay, yep.
But it's in her DNA and her reservoir.
Okay.
And she said to me, before you put the ring on the finger, Lieutenant, here it is. You know where we're going to leave after your days are over with in uniform. And I said, St. Louis, can we think about it? And somebody yelled in the restaurant, Lieutenant, complete the mission. And I said, what the heck did you do? Call my father in Brooklyn, New York? Guys have a conversation? Put it on the OT. And I did. Okay. So we traveled throughout the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So leaving military duty as a military member and being new in a community, it's like starting all over again.
Yeah.
And it really honestly is.
Mm-hmm.
Because 22.5 years of my life was an Army officer.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know anybody in St. Louis. I didn't have any family. They were all east of the Mississippi. And trying to, and I'm going to be definitely honest to those who are listening, in the state of Missouri, in the public school sector, they only accept those who will teach K through 12 as veterans, or PK through 12. 4.5% of veterans that apply. They did away with troops to teachers. That was another hindrance.
That was the thing?
That was the thing. Troops to
Wow.
teachers was a big help.
Who introduced that?
It was your governor, Jay Nixon.
Okay.
And the governor before him, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was it Eagle? No, Eagleton was a senator. But I can't remember the governor before Jay Nixon.
Yep.
And it was him that introduced troops to teachers. So when I came out of military service, it was a hard go.
Yeah.
And I had to develop a repertoire of what? How to get my foot through the door somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really difficult. So when you're an individual of being on the go 24/7, 365, and you have something to look forward to every day, and now you don't, it's hard. And the transition is hard. Now, it's not as hard for individuals that serve 3 years, 6 years, okay? And there's multi-different devices along with it. When you speak to individuals like myself that were career and made it a career and had a substance with the career, and you come out to civilian life, good luck.
Yeah.
And I mean it sincerely. So what I did was this. Wherever I was stationed, I coached on base, off base, to wherever I was at. Okay? Like when I was in Huntsville, Alabama, I was OIC, officer in charge of land combat, but I coached baseball, basketball, and football.
All three of them.
All three of them at Butler High School, which is now closed down. Okay? When I was in Germany, I coached at Stuttgart High School. When I was in Germany, I coached at Patch High School.
Basketball
and football.
Were they any good?
Let's put it this way. You got ulcer time. Okay. Wonderful. And it's a little different coaching in the military community.
Oh, sure.
Because, the transient going in and out and in and everything else.
You're not really recruiting in those.
No, you can't.
No.
No. Even if you try to recruit the ones outside the gate, guess what? They got to follow with DODES, DODS, Department of Defense Education System.
Mm-hmm.
And I did apply there after Dad passed away. And they told me, go take a hike.
Really?
Yeah, they did. And I said, thank you, I'll take the hike. Because they wanted to send me to Turkey. And I said, you're whacked. I ain't going. No. Okay, so I'll drive somebody crazy here in the U.S. So I wound up here in St. Louis. And it was hard.
Yeah.
So everything that I compiled on the military side of the house, somehow, some way I put it together with a little help. And I had a portfolio there.
Yeah.
So while I was gradually going through the rinse cycle, as I call it, in St. Louis, as a teacher and a coach at Division II, Division III, and JUCO, all right, that's how I built the portfolio. But I had taken items from my military portfolio and added it in with my academic, okay, and everything else. And by the way, I had to do my student teaching as well. I did that in UMSL, okay? Mandatory, DESI, can't get away from it. Even with the Archdiocese of St. Louis, or the Archdiocese, wherever you go, whatever district in Missouri.
So like, what made you put a portfolio together? I'm curious if
it's because I was new.
Right, you were new, but like what some people would be brand new to a place and they think I'm just going to start calling people. What made you put together something like this?
Because you need something to make a presentation with yourself.
Okay.
It is like if I walked in to your insurance,
yeah,
okay, business here. All right.
Yeah. But this is more than a resume, in my opinion.
Well, it is, and I agree with you, sir.
Yeah.
But it gives you an idea and a view of who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
And by the way, what individuals thought of me.
Right. I'm just curious if you had seen somebody do this, or if this was like, this is all I know how to do.
No. That's a good question.
Yeah.
See, my mother was a retired New York City public school teacher. See, I had the best of both worlds.
No.
Dad was military, retired engineer, Port Authority, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was a retired educator. Okay, so on the education side, I asked her, well, what about a portfolio? She said that's a good idea. So, because she was there and I'm here, we would talk over the phone. And we would, she would give me her ideas, her views.
Yeah.
And then mail me and then tell me what books I need to get, like from a bookstore or go to the college store. And you got to look at college books that have resumes that tailor and fit what you need to do.
Wow.
So my mother and my dad gave me the view and the idea and the landscape of how to put that thing together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is unique. If anybody walked in, I mean today you did it, but if anybody walked in my office and was like, I'm looking for a job and here's who I am,
Mm-hmm.
that's what that is. And was that just obviously you probably were in a new community and you were like, I have no other choice but to go. Were you, as you grew up and as you were in your career in the military, would you describe yourself as somebody who was more introverted or reserved? Or because my perception of you, as I've known you for a couple of years now, would think that you are just the life of the party. You talk to everybody. You could start talking to a brick outside, kind of thing. Was that always who you were, or did you kind of adapt and develop that skill set as you got into a new community? If that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Here we go. When I was, I'm going to say K through 12. Okay.
Yep.
I was, too bad my mom and dad aren't here because they'll fill you in on me. I mean, they would.
Yeah.
It'd be better than a Broadway play. I'm letting you know. And no refund because you wouldn't want one. Okay. I was the kind of kid where that I didn't know what the answer no was.
Okay.
All right. If I had a question and either my mom, dad, relatives, whatever, teachers, I would go on the rocks, bottles, and landmines and sewer caps to find the answer. That's how I was. When I got to junior high, junior high young men, they develop an interest called ladies.
And deodorant.
And deodorant. I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah, so they don't have, never mind. Thanks.
Good. You said you would keep it G for me. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you. So anyway, I didn't have an interest in dating.
Yeah.
As a kid. Why? Because I worked 3 jobs. I played 3 sports, and I went to school. And most importantly, my interest was reading the editorials, watching the news, domestic, foreign, and most importantly, sports, sports.
And I'm assuming that kind of stuff came from mom and dad.
Well, it did, but I developed it too.
Right.
But also, I had help along the way with aunts, uncles, not my cousins, because that's a totally different stratosphere. Because we have totally different views, concepts, ideas, and we're not on the same wavelength. I'd rather be honest about it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. And by the way, my grandparents were a big influence on me too, all 4, because they came from foreign shores to this country. 2 from Italy, 2 from Puerto Rico. So with that in mind, you had like a very broad, complex, and a fun atmosphere.
Loud,
obnoxious,
good
rude,
food,
great food,
yep.
Great drink, great desserts, and a lot of cursing. We did. So with that in mind, I tell everybody, if you watch my big fat Greek weddings, 1, 2, and 3, don't go any further. You're looking at Coach D's family on the big screen. And there it is, really.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, when I got to high school, members of the family would ask my mom and dad, does he have a date? Yeah, Al goes out. And this is a true story.
I assume you would tell me those.
I'll tell you one real quick on this one.
Yeah.
All right, it was Christmas Eve, and you know how families congregate.
Where are you living at this point?
Staten Island, New York.
Okay. That's
Okay.
where you grew up mostly.
Yeah, well, Brooklyn too,
Okay.
because we moved from Brooklyn to Staten Island. So my dad is talking to my grandfathers. My grandfather says to my dad, "What's wrong with this guy?" My dad looked and said, What do you mean? Who, that knucklehead? There ain't nothing wrong with him. Now he'll ask you what's wrong with you." And my dad started laughing. He said, Dad, what's the problem? He says, all the other kids in the family, they bring girls or they bring boys. This guy, wait a minute, he said, let me tell you about Al. Here's Al. Al's Al. Your grandson is your grandson. He's his own person. When he comes in, they call it affairs in New York. Like you go on a date, go to a dance, a party. Okay, that's the nickname, affairs.
Okay.
I used to look at my dad and say, what are you, whack the what in the fair? I ain't going with a tux. What are you, crazy? And he'd say a few things in Italian that I won't mention. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So he says to my grandfather, he says, my mother's name was Francesca. So they called her Franny. So me and Franny were up one night, and he comes walking through the door. And he goes into the kitchen, and we had like a small table, chairs, Then you had the dining room. And your grandson, my son, starts emptying out his pockets with little pieces of paper with names and numbers on them. So Franny, your daughter-in-law, asked your grandson, what are you doing? And he just casually says, I'm building my white pages and yellow pages of the 5 boroughs. And my father's laughing. Now here comes the best part of the program. So when I grew up, all the men would wear a sports jacket, sports coat. And they did wherever they went. Okay? Except from when me and my dad go to a Mets game, we yell at each other, whatever. So anyway, my dad had my letter in his sports coat, and I had no idea of this, of my acceptance to the academy. And he showed it to my grandfather. No, nobody knew about it. I didn't even know I got the letter.
You didn't even know.
I didn't even know. And my dad showed it to him and said, here, read this. And my grandfather was stunned. So was I. Okay. All right. I paid him off a couple of crooked Benjamins. All right. Okay. So the moral of the story is this. I was my own person. If I didn't want to go on a date, I could kill him. I was happy.
Yeah.
I went down the basement, put the TV on, the Mets, the Islanders, the Knicks, the whoever, even the stinky Jets.
What was the second one you said there?
Islanders.
Is it hockey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Islanders for hockey, Mets for baseball, Giants football.
Yep.
The Knicks when they were the Knicks. When they were the Knicks.
The real Knicks.
The real Knicks. With Willis Reed and all those guys. And my mother would open the door and say, you hear him? You hear him? He's yelling, right? He's downstairs. Go ahead. And all my buddies go down to the basement. Well, we're going out. Goodbye. You're not going? No.
Yep.
I'm watching the game. Get out of here. Leave me alone. And then when I was in 8th grade, there was a young lady that her father went to high school with mine at Alexander Hamilton. It's no longer there. They renamed it, then they knocked it down. I think they renamed it to Paul Robeson, and then they knocked it down.
Okay.
Well, they both went to high school together. And yeah, I was in 9th grade, and there was 2 buddies of mine, and we planned this for a year. Courtside tickets, Knicks and Lakers.
Wow.
I get an invitation in the mail. To who? To her birthday party. I thought I was going to jump out a window without a parachute. Well, better yet, go to the Verrazano Bridge and take a dip in the Atlantic. I went at it with my mom and dad. That didn't do me any good at all. I wound up going to the party. But not knowing that her father worked for MSG, Madison Square Garden Network, had the closed circuit in his den or his office.
Wow.
Go get your hamburgers, go get your dogs, get your chips, get your Pepsi, let's go. So I watched the Knicks at the Garden. I watched the New York Nets when they had Lou Conasacker as the head coach, with the Nets. They were playing the San Diego Conquistadors with Bo Lamar. And then I watched
That was a real team?
Yes, it was.
Wow.
And then I watched the Islanders and the Los Angeles Kings. So my dad comes into the house. How you doing, Al? Doing well. Where is he? And the mom goes, he's in there. You're telling me he wasn't with the kids? No. My husband grabbed him because he knew your son didn't want to be there. And I don't blame him. And I should have never sent him an invitation in the first place. And him and my husband are locked up in there for 5 hours straight, doing their thing, watching hockey, basketball. Oh, yeah. We also watched boxing, too.
Really?
Yeah, we watched the Muhammad Ali fight.
Yeah.
Okay? So I had my full run of sports.
Yeah, I mean.
I walked out. I said, hey, Pop, we got to get this damn thing in there. I mean, that thing in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too costly. So what? You got money. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
But that was me.
Yeah.
I didn't worry about dating. I didn't.
You just weren't really worried about dating.
No, I wasn't.
No.
I wasn't.
Good for you, by the way.
I mean, I had other interests. I mean,
Yeah.
I played ice hockey. I wrestled. I boxed. Swam, basketball, baseball, football, ran
There
track.
it is. Hold on. There it is. Oh, dang it. Hold on. That was the weakest swing we've ever seen.
It's over here.
Get cooked. Oh, did you hear that?
I did.
Are you recording all this too? That's so good. Be a blooper. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so we'll take it back to where you were growing up and like when you started playing sports and then why you started loving basketball or whatever you did.
Well, you know what? Not only sports, and I really think there's a big misconnect in the community and with my friends and also family members that they think I'm just a sportsaholic and a junkie.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my sports.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. But I read a great book once a month. I love going to the ballet, operas, concerts, a Broadway play or a show. I enjoy reading, anything from a documentary to a biography, autobiography. I'm very much into history, and I am.
Yeah.
Certain portions of history. Really. My dream, and I said this to my parents, and they almost dropped dead and fell out of their chairs when I said this one, but it would have been great for me to be a GI during World War II because I love that music. I love big band music.
Yeah.
And I do. And I love jazz.
What's a GI?
That's a soldier. That's
Okay,
what
all
we
right.
were called.
Okay. All right.
Back during World War II. It was like, like they say now, I'm on leave.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they said you were on furlough.
Okay.
Okay. I heard that the first time I went, really? Yeah. Oh, I'm on leave. That's right. I understand that now. But I mean, that era would have personified me to a T.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when I went through the academy, it was the tail end of Vietnam. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't good. And by the way, there was a lot of anti-Americanism at that time, and especially us that wore a uniform. The facts of life are the facts of life, folks. Live with it. Truth's the truth. So with me, I had other interests, okay? Now, I had an aunt and uncle. My uncle went to Temple University, and my aunt went to NYU, which was very uncustomary for a woman back in the 30s and 40s.
Sure.
I would do the Wall Street crossword puzzle with them, okay? When the Wall Street Journal was a piece of fine art, not like today, garbage.
Yeah.
It is the truth.
Yes.
Okay. My grandmothers, I learned how to cook from both of them. Okay.
That's good. That's who needed to teach you.
Exactly.
Those are the ones that came over
on the boat.
Uh-huh.
Okay. One on the banana boat from Puerto Rico, and the other one that came over on the Gabardini boat from Italy. But the bottom line is, okay, with those two ladies, and they were very strong ladies, and they were. Not only did I learn how to cook, but I also learned how to be a human being. And that was important to them. And the other thing, too, is that when I was growing up, my aunts and uncles, my grandparents, they didn't ask my cousins to go to the store for them. They asked for me. Is Alex around? Yeah. Grandma needs for you to go to the store. Okay, fine.
Why? Why'd they ask you?
Because they knew I would do it. And by the way, here's the other part of it, too. I didn't ask for money. They gave me a meal. I was happy.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, we would sit and talk. And then both my grandmothers, they put on the radio while we eat. And we listened to the Met game on the radio, which was really cool because they were Brooklyn Dodger fans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I do. I got 2 sisters too many, and I got a brother.
So you had siblings and a brother, and then your cousins at this point. What era did you grow up in?
Oh, geez.
When were you born, I guess?
1957.
Okay. So I'm just trying to imagine, like, were a lot of your siblings and cousins similar? Because, like, I grew up at the beginning of the technology era where you sitting with your grandparents listening to games would be a very unique thing. Was it pretty unique back then to...
No, it wasn't, because here it is. Like, let's say the 3 of us and the rest of the guys, we sit on the stoop of someone's house.
Right.
Get the transistor radio.
Yeah.
They went the ball game.
Classic TV scene right there.
Then one guy get a bag of potato chips. He gets a bag of pretzels. We each get a soda each.
Yeah.
Then we all chip in, and we get a pie, a pizza. Okay, and we were set for 9 innings.
Yeah,
and we were happy.
How much could you buy all that for?
Oh, at that time, holy jeez. I'm going to say no more than, let's say $14, 13. Really?
I've never been hungrier in my life for a $5 pizza. I guess, does Little Caesars make them? I feel like Little Caesars. It's not real pizza, but,
No.
If you eat it hot, it's good.
But
it tastes good. Doesn't make it any good, but it tastes better if you eat it hot. Anyway.
But that was us.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
See,
and it was radio, not television.
Right. It was radio. Then I could remember, this is funny. This is a hoot. My aunt had the first color TV on the block. Myself and 8 other guys. And she put the Met game on. We're just looking at each other. And we said a few words too, like, "Holy, hey, this is in color.
Yeah.
Look at this. We're watching Major League Baseball in color. Oh, man, isn't this great?" And I'll never forget it because my mom called her. "Hey, is Alex there?" It's my Aunt Nina. "Yeah, he's there with his buddies." "What are they doing bringing his buddies up there?" "Ah, Franny, don't worry about it. I never seen 8 kids so quiet, looking at a TV, watching baseball, and all they're saying is, it's in color." That's it. Done. Okay. We weren't like kids today. Kids today have no creativity. They don't. It's a fact.
Yeah.
Everything's got to be organized for them. Us, bicycle, glove on one handlebar, baseball bat across the 2.
Sure.
Bag lunch in the other. Get in the house before the lights went on.
Yeah.
That was the main objective.
I always like to ask, I don't mean this in any
Go
sort of...
ahead, just ask.
I like to ask older people. You're
That's
older.
okay.
You're older than me.
Yeah, yeah.
You grew up in a different era than me.
That is correct too.
A lot of people would hear what you just described and go, "Yeah, well, it's just not as safe as it used to be. It's just not like we can't just let our kids go do whatever." Do you feel like, from your upbringing to now, is the world different from a safe perspective, from a upbringing perspective, or is it just that we have media that sees the worst and we think that's how every neighborhood is?
Okay, that's a good question. I think it's regional. I really do.
So you think there's some where it's not the same anymore?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, what's your neighborhood look like now?
Now,
Yeah.
it's trashed. It hurts. I just came back from New York and D.C. I was telling you about the trips. I went back to the old neighborhood. I had tears coming down my cheeks. Really. It was that sad.
Why?
Okay?
What made you sad?
Everything. The garbage a mile high. We never had that. The filth, the dirt. We never had that. You know, the disrespect was incredible.
Yeah.
We never had that. I could imagine if I got disrespected to Mr. Giudice, my teeth went in the back of my head. I'm serious.
Yeah.
And then when I got back across the street, then my head went down the block like a bowling ball. Okay, for my father. Hey, you know what? And to give you a really good example is that if your mother and father pulled up with their car and they went shopping, Alex, I need help with the groceries. Okay, you got to wait a minute. Wait a minute. Your mother go inside, call my mother on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
My mother came out, pointed to me, went like this to your parents' car, and say, don't say a word. That's it.
Yeah.
Get the groceries and help your mother and father stack them.
Yeah.
Get out of the home, your house, go to my house. Then the fun began. And that wasn't fun. See, there's a difference. There's a difference of parenting. There's a difference of parenting skills. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am a parent. I have 2 sons. I've been down that road. There's a difference of educational skills. There's a difference of facilitating within the family unit. There's a difference on where individuals grow up today, urban, suburban, rural.
Right.
I truly believe, and I know your listeners, or maybe you and the other gentleman here will disagree with me. That's fine. I can live with it. I got a thick skin. Parents today don't want to be parents. Ladies and gentlemen, not only on the military side of the house, but I'm a retired teacher and a coach. And believe me, I've been called things you wouldn't even believe by students. And I told them, and I did. There's only one way to go with Coach D. And if you get off that line and you can't be man enough or lady enough to walk in my classroom or walk in my gym and say, hey, I made a mistake. Hey, it's all good. Let's sit down, let's correct it, let's go over it, and let's move on to the next day. See, I believe in treating my students as adults. It did not matter from K to 12, 12 to K, junior college, Division II, Division III. There are guidelines. There are consequences. We have today in American society that we lost the vision, the understanding, and the comprehension of what consequences are and where they belong, where they should be, and where they should be at.
Where did that come from? You said parents don't want to parent anymore. What do you mean by what distinction are you talking about there? And when did that shift?
Okay.
Because I do feel like your era and a little bit of mine, like you said, regional, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you can have anomalies of different parents
Sure.
that my mom raised us like we lived in the Great Depression, even though she was 2 generations removed from it, right? So you can have those anomalies. But what was the shift where you noticed it in parents? Because obviously you're dealing with parents all the time in coaching.
Correct.
But yeah, what do you mean by they don't want to parent anymore? And when did that shift?
I think that shift had taken place. I know it wasn't in my era. Okay. Because in the 60s, all the way to the 70s, right? That didn't go on. And when we became much more of a liberal type society in this country from the late 70s on up, you could see the shift of attitude from parent to, from parent to son or daughter, from son and daughter having children, and now their son and daughters are grandparents. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. So why do I say that? And there is. And it's beyond disbelief and comprehension these days. Because you mentioned like the Great Depression. Okay? My grandparents raised my parents to respect what? This is what they were taught. This is what they had to know. This is what they had to do. You respect your mother and father, did a law, judge, jury, and prosecutor. That's it. Done. You respect your grandparents. You respect adults. You go to class, you go to school, you respect those who are in the front of the classroom. And most importantly, if you work, you respect those who supervise you, regardless if they tell you something different or not. And if you don't want to do it, you did it anyway. Because that greatest generation of ours built this country.
Yeah.
And without that greatest generation, we don't have a country. Because on the left coast would have been chopsticks, and on the right coast would have been bratwurst and sauerkraut. Let's get to it. Now, my mom and dad came along, okay? So when my mom and dad were ready to have us, right, their feeling was, well, could I provide something better for our children
Sure. Yeah.
than what we had?
Yeah.
But we didn't have it too bad,
Right.
okay? But in our household, it was like we were brought up that they were brought up similar,
Right.
okay? And especially when you got a dad that's military
Mm-hmm.
and a mom that's a teacher, you didn't cross the line. Now, me, I would push the envelope,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew when to take the foot off the accelerator,
Sure.
okay? And I say, hey, you know what? Okay,
And I'm guessing that's because you knew where the line was with your father.
absolutely.
And maybe that's what you're talking about is parents in these more and more in these newer generations haven't established the line.
They haven't.
And I guess I'm wondering, you mentioned all those places you went and respected people. Did they make you go to church as a kid too? Were you going to church?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, you know how many times I had transistor radios thrown out the window? I can't even count them. I could get $1 million. Me and you, this gentleman here, hey, you want to know something? We wouldn't have to work for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? By the way, I'll share one. Good, I'm glad you brought that up. Here we go. Okay? Mass was at 12 noon. And he used to call it the bartender's mass. Remember that?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay. So we had a priest. His name was Father Sankey. He was great. By the way, he played his ball with Tommy Heinsohn at Holy Cross back in the day in the 50s. So the Mets were playing an early game. It was a deuce, a doubleheader. Because on Sundays, you had doubleheaders.
Yeah.
I had the transistor radio on my T-shirt, and I had the string with the button in my ear. Boom. Okay. And I'm sitting with the Italian army, all my buddies. Okay. Never forget it. And the Mets were playing the Cincinnati Reds. And the Mets had a third baseman named Ed Charles. No neck. That was his nickname. So Ed Charles gets up and he hits one of his few home runs. And I started doing, Father Sinkyu stopped in his homily.
No.
Yeah, he did. He looked right at me.
You're fist pumping in mass, though.
Yes,
So
I
that's
am.
on you a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's on me. And I yelled, let's go Mets. He stopped the homily. He looked at me and said, Alex, what's the score? Padre, Mets 3, Red zip, Seaver throwing a one-hitter through 4. Okay, I'll catch you at the end of Mass. Okay, Padre, you're on. I'm serious. I'm not joking. So I get home, and I don't even have a foot through the door. My dad goes, give it to me. Give you what? Where's your transistor radio? I got a phone call from your grandmother. By the way, she was at Mass, what you did with the rest of the guys. I went like this, oh, mother of God, have mercy. Yeah. So I gave him the radio. He went to the second floor. Poof, out the window.
That's hilarious.
Without a parachute.
See, there's no way to do that now because I don't think my mom ever did that, but I remember a lot of kids, like if they got, I was a perfect child, just so you know. No, we used to have like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Oh yeah, my sons had that.
And my mom despised it, and I think I recall her ripping them up. Like, and we deserved it because we weren't supposed to be playing with them. We played with them on the bus. She ripped them up. You know, I don't know what you can do for. Like, can you chuck an iPhone out the... They're too expensive to feel good about just chucking it out the window, you know? If a kid's playing with their iPhone when they shouldn't be.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
You know, I caught many of my guys in class with that.
Yeah.
You know what I tell them? See that basket on my desk? Put it in.
Yeah.
By the way, I got the phone numbers to where you live. You can leave it there. I'm going to have your parents come pick them up.
They just enacted a law, I think,
They did.
here in Missouri for that,
Mhm.
which as somebody who wants people off their phones, I'm good for it. There's a small part of me that's worried about safety, but it's not a huge
Well,
piece
you know
of
what?
me.
The teachers, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go
No,
ahead.
you're good. That's
The
there's
teachers used to have the sleeves on the back of the door with names. So
Okay.
when you walked through into the classroom, you took your iPhone
Sure.
and you put it in your individual sleeve.
Yeah, I guess I just mean and maybe the sense of an
Are you talking
active
about safety?
intruder, active shooter.
You
Who's
know,
gonna?
that's I hear that a lot. And I'm
Yeah.
saying, and I say
And
this.
that's why I say it's a small part of me, but it's there.
It's there right now in the 21st century with every parent that has a child attending school.
Yep.
And I get that. I understand it. But this is where before we go there,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. So being as a kid growing up, myself, because I grew up during the 60s, okay, what were the three things on TV that every kid seen during those years from 63 to 73? Was Vietnam. Morning, afternoon, evening. Okay. The reason why we have problems educationally, socially, systematically is my generation.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Well, tell me more.
Why? Because my generation are the professors and the educators of today. The average age of a professor is from the age of 57 to 68. Hi. The average age of a teacher is from the age of what? 45? Well, younger.
Sure.
Younger.
Right.
But usually, 40 to 60.
Yeah.
Hi, my generation. Okay. Why do I say that? Because we only have 7% of our nation's population that are veteran. Okay. Back in the 60s, you had the draft. This including Vietnam, but you had the draft. Then they went to the all volunteer force. 74, May 5th. May 5th, 75, the end of Vietnam. Helicopter takes off. Okay. That's it. Done. Involvement's over with. My generation is the cause of mass hysteria in this country. I like somebody to come over to me and say to me, Coach D, you're wrong. I'll shred him. Mercifully. I don't have a problem with it. And I don't. This is the truth. Because my generation has given us what? The AOCs, the Elizabeth Warrens. Bernie Sanders was before me.
He's old.
He is.
Is he 84?
85.
85.
And look at the toys he drives. He doesn't know what is poor because he grew up in the Hamptons in Long Island.
He was just on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, well, God bless him. But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Crocker from Texas, she's actually from St. Louis. Cori Bush, she was from St. Louis. She went to Cardinal Ritter. See, these are the individuals that were educated, and divisively so, through individuals through my generation. Because my generation, to be honest with everybody listening and watching, and being across from you, Landon, and this gentleman here, Cody, is that my generation was given everything, hand and damn foot. And they were. Because my parents wanted something better than what they had. My parents' generation, like my grandparents, if you got a high school diploma, that was a PhD. When I was growing up, all I heard was you got to go to college. You want to get a decent job, you better go to a 4-year school.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now we got a situation where we got local yokels and yokels are telling me, and anyone else, you got to pay for my student debt. You know what you could do? Go to the Empire State Building and jump. Because I ain't paying for your debt. No, that's the truth. I am not paying for your school debt.
Yeah.
Because if you want to go to one of the 9 Poison Ivy League schools,
Poison ivy. That's good.
Okay. or you want to go to a school that you majored in something
Sure. Yeah.
and came out with nothing
Right.
that had given you nothing in return, that's not my headache.
Yeah. So take me like those parents who, because
No.
I feel like every generation wants to. I want a better upbringing for my kid.
Correct.
And I think in statement and theory, I would agree with that sentiment. But when did it go from I want you to have a good education
I'll
and
tell
work
you
a good
when.
job to you got to have a 4-year degree, and if you're a plumber, that's gross.
Here we go. All right. Here it is. Where I come from in the region portion of the country, the Northeast, many of the public school systems like Boston, Philadelphia, New York City, Pittsburgh, your big metropolitan areas,
Sure.
had a boatload of vocational technical high schools. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you went through the vocational program, you learned plumbing, sheet metal, carpentry,
Yeah.
automotive, electrical installation, printing. If you were a lady, cosmetology, commercial, dressmaking, or tailoring for the gentleman. Okay.
Was there cooking?
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
All right. There
If
was.
I could go back to school, I want to
Okay.
go.
Because you had the
learn to
merchant.
cook.
What was it? It was in Manhattan. It was under the Merchant Marine Academy.
Okay.
Okay. It was a great school.
Sure.
New York High School of Printing, New York School of Aviation in Queens,
Yeah.
Brooklyn Tech, Peter Stuyvesant, Bronx High School of Science. Okay.
So many different
Yeah,
specialties.
Specialties. Okay.
Wow.
And different identities of
Yeah.
where you could have went to school.
I'm assuming that's all gone now.
No, it's not.
It's not
No,
up
it's
there?
not.
Okay. All
No,
right.
it's still there. And then you had your local academic high schools. Like where I went to school, McKee Vocational Technical High School, up the street was Curtis High School. And the only program Curtis had was for the ladies, and that was nursing where they could get their LPN. All right? Okay. It was a different brand. It was a different situation. But getting back to the parenting of it was that each household is completely different than the other. But the thing was that you were told as a kid, you're not going to get a decent job if you don't have a 4-year education.
Right.
That's all you heard.
Yep.
So now, what are they told? Okay, well, since you got your nowhere degree in philosophy or a crudball bachelor's or a crudball BA in liberal arts, now you got to go get your graduate degree.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you compounding? More money, right? They are. Now they're crying. No, this ain't Jubilee that, okay, we're going to go as they did in the Middle East before we were all born and somebody took care of all the bills. No, you created them. If you want to pay $60 to $70 to $80,000 per year at a Poison Ivory 1 and M9
Yeah.
or any other small school around the nation,
Yeah.
then you better think about what you major in and what is that major going to do for you. Now we're going to add this to the mix. And here we go. Education is what? Profit. Education is money. Education is like being a traveling salesperson. What do? Just like up the block here. Okay, no different. I don't care what school it is. It could be here, William Jewell, UMKC, St. Louis U, Wash U, regardless. University of Missouri and Columbia, hey, they're invited to high schools. So they have high school night. I know, I've been involved in many of them.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're going to tell these kids, well, if you come here and you graduate with this degree, you're going to make this X amount of money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's what I was told.
Right,
Oh,
but
yeah.
oh no. Okay? So, with that in mind, now we have what? A point in this country where that they're screaming and yelling that you got to pay for my bills of what I created. What are you out of your flipping mind? No.
I think some right, and I I don't agree with that at all. But I feel like some of this goes back to you talking about how like your generation created a lot of this. Like
It did.
something that I say a lot is that it's not my fault, but it is my responsibility. And I feel like a lot of these people are trying to figure out who to blame for how this all came about so that they pay. When the truth is, it may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. Like I was never pressured at 17, 18 to go take out $60,000 of debt, but I assume some of these kids were either like, you go to college or you're not part of our family anymore. Like that was the hard parenting line that people were holding was you have to go to college and debt is just a part of it. And then you work it off for the rest of your life. I don't know
I
if
think
that's
there's
making
a
any
portion of
sense.
society of that Landon, but not all. Okay, really,
Yeah.
realistically,
Yeah.
right? You have your portion.
Mm-hmm.
That's a given, depending on the family and depending on what daddy and mommy Warbucks make.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I made a trip my senior year to Dartmouth College, Hanover, New Hampshire. Myself and my dad. It was a recruiting trip.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting there, the football coach, baseball coach, financial aid director, letter of intent, both, and also the financial paperwork. I looked at it. I looked at my dad. I said, "What are you, crazy? Are you willing to pay for this?" He looked at me. You're right. Okay, in front of everyone. Well, you could, no, I'm not
I
going.
just don't think everybody has the stones to do that
Well, you know
anymore.
what? Here's the reason why they don't. And here it is. Because today, under my generation, that formulated this generation, they don't get a kick in the pants. They don't get a smack in the back of the head.
Right.
Well, we're going to call DFS.
Mm.
I ever did that to my parents. Let's put it this way. It wouldn't be a happy moment over the BQE.
When did DFS start? Look that up. Do you know?
1960s.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
For
between
probably some
60
good reasons, folks. There was
Yeah,
probably some
some.
good reasons for
And some
that.
very bad.
1969.
Yeah. It was, I was going to say mid 60s, early 60s when DFS was incorporated.
Sure.
I could picture myself saying that to my mom and dad. All right, you got a free trip to the periodontist office. Give him the bill. How you gonna eat steak? Well, not tonight. Go blended. All right. But the bottom line is, no. It's like going to Fresno State. Second chance you. Okay? Yes. And I love that head football coach at Fresno State. Great guy. Okay? Taking the kids off the streets that had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And nothing to do and turned them into men. Just like Coach Nat when he got let loose from Navy. He's at San Jose State doing the same thing at San Jose State University. And that's a hard-hit area,
Yeah.
like Fresno. Okay?
So it felt, I agree. Now the culture of respect elders or even just anybody that's everybody, respect everybody, that seems to be gone. Was that in force in the beginning of our country because of war? I mean, where did we pick up the, you talk about that story where, if you didn't help your neighbors unload their car,
better
where
not
did
go
that
home.
come from? And then where did that go?
You better not go home.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm
No,
going
I
to
mean,
call you. I'm going to say, Landon, hey, do you have room down your basement?
Yeah, right.
Go hide me in the closet. No.
Yeah.
War has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
I think war is an easy commodity to use. Really. I think war, when it's said, WAR, 95% of America doesn't understand
Sure.
what the heck it actually means.
Yeah.
They have no idea. No view. Well, I'm going to say 93% because only 7% of us are veterans. That's it. So the other 93%, when they use war or catastrophe or involvement,
Yeah.
okay, they have no idea.
No.
They don't know.
No.
Hey, freedom is not free.
That's right.
Let's get this garbage out of the way. But I think what happened, in my eyes,
Yep.
the way I view it,
Yep.
is this. There was a turning point from 1978, 79 in this country when it came to busing. And that's when the turning point began to actually turn and revolve in our inner cities, our inner city schools, and urban and suburban and rural. Because when busing began, that was the derotation and the ripping apart of the fabric of the inner soul of the inner cities communities.
Busing.
Yes, because
Wow.
you had your professional Black African American families, they didn't want no part of it.
Hmm.
You had your Hispanic families, no part of it. Your Irish community, your Italian community, your Jewish community, this community, that community, they didn't want no part of it. And that's when you had the flight out of the inner cities.
Why?
Why?
What was their aversion to it?
Because they didn't want their kids to live a life of darkness. You're going to send my kid to a suburban school. What happens? Something happens. I live in the city. They're in suburbia. I work. How am I going to get to my son or daughter?
So you're saying busing because we commercialized and instead of being localized, we're now all making things bigger and traveling.
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay. Now, I had a professor at St. Louis U, and he was Black African American, and he was a Marine. And I was one of the oldest students in his class.
Mhm.
So after everybody left, he lifted up his pants leg. I seen 6 holes. 10th Offensive, Vietnam, 1968. Showed me. Then me, myself, and the professor went to dinner. We had a great conversation. And I asked him, were you born and raised here in St. Louis? I was. I said, where were you born and raised at? Fairground Park. I went to Beaumont. I said, wow, that's the combat zone. Now it is. When I was growing up, it wasn't. He also said to me in 1970, because I remember this, and the reason why is because I was dating my wife. I was a young officer at Fort Leonard Wood when the gavel hit the pad from the judge when busing began in 78, 79 in St.
Public
Louis.
busing, I assume.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about, yeah.
Okay. And he said, once that happened, he said, Alex, they went the whole community out the window.
That was the end of local.
That's right.
Wow.
Okay.
I've never thought about that.
Yes. That was the end of it.
Because now you're just going to go wherever you want, basically.
Yeah. I mean, well, certain cities still have their districts.
Right.
Unless you go to specialty schools. Okay, like if you go to Career Academy, Cleveland ROTC, Metro.
Yeah. But I'm
Right.
just even thinking about business-wise. Like
Business-wise,
Yeah.
too. Yeah, you just go wherever you want. And by the way, those folks that were, staples in the community said, hey, the heck with this. Who needs this? And they uplifted and off they went. Now, let's go to today. Let's look at your small little enclaves like Fayette,
Yeah.
Centralia, Boonville. They're very colloquial. They are. Cliquish, clannish, and very territorial. See, I can understand why. I can. Because how I lived as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
growing up base to base, and myself as a military member as well, and my travels. That's why I had to put a portfolio together. Because it was doing me no good.
Right.
Application didn't do any good.
No.
They wanted to see who they were talking to in print.
Yeah, you definitely have to be different. Yeah.
You do. And you got to use your mind and you got to be creative. And this all comes into the same circle of what we're chatting about, the both of us. We're talking about society.
Yeah.
Now, here's the worst part for me in American society today. And it is. I got that letter V attached to my name. That's a veteran. Believe me, it's great with the commercials. But let me tell you something, my friend. That doesn't happen in reality. And it doesn't. That's why we have 25.5 veterans per day committing suicide. Every day. That's why we have more veterans out on the streets than we ever did. And homeless. That's why we have more veterans that partake in drugs, alcoholism, incarceration. That's why Governor Pearson set up Veterans Court and away from the detailed population. Now, individuals might think this guy's only pro-veteran. No, that's not the case. Okay, what's fair is fair. And I always believed in that. But the bottom line is this. Don't thank me for my service. When I come to an interview, you want to thank me? You hire me. You want to hire someone? You want to say thank you? Okay?
Good hands.
You hire them. And let the chips fall on the table.
Sure.
Let them prove themselves. I come to you and I say, you know, Mr. Landon, I don't know anything about the insurance business. Really.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to work hard. If I have to take a class or two, I will. Will you take a chance on me? Okay? And I'm also a veteran. So what are you getting in return? Well, it could be one of three things. One, it could be successful. Or you're going to spend a lot of time with me learning and hoping it will be successful. Or not at all. See, that's fairness. We don't have that today. And we don't. We have institutions in this country, and I'm going to add this to the mix, that we were left with after 4 years of a mess, a royal, God-given mess by an administration that got booted out the door with their juvenile delinquents, and now that we got the adults up there in area code 202, Washington, D.C. Yes, this is important for individuals to know. Because EEOC and everything else was ripped apart. There was no fairness at all. There was a lot of nepotism. There was a lot of this, a lot of that. That's wrong. Federal law is federal law. You work in HR, you better know it. You need to know it. My wife would come home to me and tell me horror stories where she worked at. I just looked at her. Are you serious? Yeah, I am. Really. This all combines into one. This combines into our American society. Okay? And it does. A young man that worked for Doge got beaten up silly 2 nights ago. He was a bloody mess. Yes, in DC. Because he worked for Doge. And it was a carjacking.
Wow.
Okay, in DC. The young lady that went to the University of Georgia, Athens, the nurse. See, this all contributes, Landon. This is like making a pie and a cake without forgetting what also goes into the recipe. Now, many of those who are listening or watching will totally disagree with me. That's great. You can disagree with me all you want. That's fine. I got a thick skin. I don't have a problem with it. But I've been to all 50 states. I've been to the 3 territories. I've been to 6 out of 7 continents. I've seen things the average human being could not even imagine and witnessing. And I have. So going back to my generation, they're at fault. And they are. And there's no denying it. And to get out of this escapade from what my generation has done to this country, I'm going to bet $1 to a donut right now with all three of us, that it's going to take at least 15 to 20 years to get the heck out of it somehow, some way.
15 to 20 years of progress too.
Well, you know what? You could use progress any way you want.
Sure, but I just
I mean, that's like
like
throwing dice in an alley and saying you better hope the cards
maybe
don't come
what
with
I mean
snake
is
eyes.
15 years of somewhat in the correct direction.
Right. That's what. Yes, I agree with that. I do.
Yeah, I as a parent now, I find myself being given that better, what I thought was a better upbringing than what my parents got. But I think my mom would actually say that I did not get a better upbringing than what she got, because she had a really good, mom and dad family home,
Sure.
whatever. But I've talked a lot with. I'm a young parent. I've just got a 3-year-old and a 10-month-old, of almost having to strip back and go back to the basics of, these kids are going to grow up in quote unquote one of the wealthiest societies ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to need to manufacture some adversity,
Oh, that's easy to do as a parent. Just say no.
Right. Well, you'd be surprised.
I know
that many parents struggle with
exactly
that.
with the word 2 letters. No.
And I think some of that, when I try to think of what maybe that comes from, is I do think our social media age, I think whether I even subconsciously, I think about what my kids think of me,
Sure.
and I think that's probably going to be the hardest line for these parents that have grown up only with what I call image management. Like that's
Yes.
everything you've known. Like we don't have books like this because that's way too authentic to say what you believe and what you don't believe. We'd rather just have our image be something that's either pleasing to the eye so that you like us, right? We're so worried about being liked. And I think that's going to be the struggle that parents have now is, can you get over not being liked by your kids for the sake of something better?
Better. See, I really enjoyed what you said about technologies. So I want to get to that for a minute, okay? Yeah. And then after that, we take a small break.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Technologies. So here it is. I brought this up, and believe me, I almost had rocks thrown at me. And I said, hey, I get a garbage can cover. I think I'm Captain America. Thank you. So here we go. With the unrest that we had in this country for the past 3 to 4 years, just think about this, gentlemen, and everybody else. If they had the same technologies if they had from 1964 to 1970, this would no longer be a country. Not even. We had what? Unrest, demonstrations, burning of cities, burn baby burn, Compton, Detroit, okay, elsewhere, federal buildings being bombed, police being shot, first responders being shot at. We had Kent State. Hey, you want to throw rocks and bottles at the National Guard? You get what you deserve. That's it, done. That's my book. I don't know about anyone else, but that's what happened, okay? And let's think, seriously speaking, gentlemen, let's think about if they had the technologies then, what we have now, we wouldn't even see what went on these last 3, 4 years.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because if they had the technologies now that they didn't have back then, they would have been doing things or creating things with a much bigger disturbance socially, monetarily, academically, than what we could ever think about in our lifetimes. And that is a fact. There is a difference between making a zip gun or a pipe fitting bomb compared to what is today with drones. There's a difference.
Yeah.
There is a difference of the legitimized legalization of what was thrown on them then than it is now. There is a difference between what? If you live in a red state or you live in a blue state, that's a fact. Or you live in a sanctuary city, or do you live in a moderate conservative town or city. There is a difference. And most importantly, everyone, that is a fact. Because if they had the technologies then, what we have now, this country would have been ruptured. And not many individuals think about that.
Yeah, and
And
I
they
don't think
don't.
you're saying that that's because necessarily the degradation of society is any different. It's just purely the technology would have made it way worse. Like I think what the technology and at least social media has done to us now is Cody, Google the average screen time, the average phone screen time for an American. Um, I think all those things could be happening right now, and people just lull themselves to sleep with their technology. Is that kind of what you're saying? Where just the amount of destructive technology that exists now compared to then is much, much different.
Well, it's everything combined, Landon. It's just not that. It
Yeah.
is the fabric
Right.
of the social, the economic, the
Yeah.
political, and the monetary.
Yeah. I just think like if you rewound it 100 years and you had the technology that we had today, most people would. I feel like we would be a less productive. Like I don't know if we would even have the industrial. If we had phones during the Industrial Revolution, which I know doesn't make any sense, by the way, because you wouldn't have any of this without the previous development. So many people are just scrolling their phone. I think we might be one of the most unproductive societies ever. How much screen time? What you got?
According to the first source, it's 6 hours and 40 minutes. Some are saying even 7. I think it's higher than that.
Let's call it 5 hours a day. That is a full-time job on your phone in a week. I don't know if I derailed here on just the phone conversation, but I just think that's crazy.
I think it
to me.
depends on, and excuse me for interrupting.
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good. You probably just were like, what is he talking about?
No, I know what you're saying. I'm
Yeah.
trying to process it
Sure.
in the right direction.
Yep. Thank you.
I think it depends on your position and what you do for a employment setting.
Sure.
Okay, different employment settings have different uses for technology.
Sure.
Okay,
But I just mean personal smartphone.
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think that many, like in my job, I don't think you count my screen time on my computer. On my personal phone, which the only thing I do on my personal phone is text, call, and social media, ain't no business being 3 hours a day on there.
Well, you see, there is the difference between that and that.
Yep.
Okay, and
So not all technology is bad. It's the use.
It's the use, but it is bad in a way. And here it is. Because our students today, K through 12, junior, JCCs, junior colleges, NEIA, NCAA Division 1, 2, and 3 institutions, many students can't take a pen or a pencil and do a math equation, cannot write a paragraph, cannot write a sentence without a conjunction.
Yeah.
This list is endless. The reason why is technologies. Now, like you mentioned, like Cody did, you could take technologies and you could divide and you could prosper and conquer.
We're using technology right now.
Right now.
And hopefully in a good way.
In a good way. But you see, the thing is that, like you mentioned, like Cody, how do you use it? When do you use it? And by the way, how do you fortify it? And how do you facilitate it? All jobs are different. I guarantee you, here it is. Let's go to an assembly line. All right? Let's go to Ford. Take Ford, for example, right? They manufacture cars. Let's say, for instance, on the manufacturing line, a certain new automobile from Ford. Okay? Hey, you got the engineer, right? You got the individuals in the science lab, right? You got the individuals on the floor. Okay? All of the above. Let's say somebody on the floor looks at the engine and they think there's something wrong. He calls over 2 of his buddies, or she does. All right? And they plug it into Google. And they say, hey, take a look at this. Does this seem right here to there? Boom. Then they call upstairs to the engineers. And the engineers come down, okay, with the science techs. All right? That's how you use it.
Yeah.
Because everybody's in sync. Okay? But it is different if you work on Wall Street and you work in the financial areas or the insurance area, because that's a cutthroat business. Let's get this out of the way. It is. Numbers produce, numbers work, And by the way, that's your livelihood. And if you don't produce numbers, you don't have a job.
Yep.
Now tell me if I'm wrong.
No.
So in essence, how you manufacture it, how you use it, and how you determine it will make you or break you. But getting back to the simple formation and surmise of the issue here, educationally, with technologies, and by the way, using what's between the cabeza, the head, and between the ears, if you can't formulate it, what good is it?
Yeah.
What good is it? And look at where we're at in the 30 most powerful nations industrial-wise. We're at number 30 educationally. It's ridiculous. We should be in the top 5, like President Trump said. Look how much money we pumped in. And Weingartner, she's crying about that they're going to dissolve her department and her livelihood. Dissolve it. It's a waste. It's a waste of humanity, time, space, money.
Do we have like an alternative?
We do.
Okay.
Give it back to the states.
Yeah.
That's where it belongs. The states and those who work in DESI, that work for the governor, those individuals with superintendents, with principals,
Yeah.
with school boards.
Yeah.
Just like
I feel like I'm for that. You know?
or Virginia.
Sure.
Okay?
Yep.
And his lieutenant governor. And his, I'm not going to say DOJ, but what do you call it? AG of Virginia.
Yep.
Look at what they're doing. Look at what he did. Look how he won in Virginia. And had taken close to 50% of the vote of Northern Virginia, which is close, right outside D.C. See, that's what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So she could dance on her head all she wants. Why are we wasting money? That's the question. Not only that, but we are not producing educators.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to your producing comment of if you're not producing with the things that you've been given, especially American tax dollars, you should do something different.
Right. And the other thing, too, your colleges and universities have lessened the standards for those who want to go into education.
So that we can...
Yes, exactly. So if we don't have the proper educator with the proper motives, and that individual cannot think straight, how are they going to educate for our children or grandchildren into the future of this country?
Yeah. Did you need to take a break?
Just a minute.
That's fine. This podcast is brought to you by, you guessed it, me, Landon Ball, State Farm agent. Do you feel like insurance doesn't make any sense? You are not alone. My team and I are trying to figure that out like every day. If you want to understand your insurance policy better, specifically if you have like a life or car or home insurance policy that some brother-in-law or uncle twice removed sold you years ago, reach out to my team here in Fayette at 660-248-2424 or go to our website at FayetteInsuranceTeam.com. Please don't call me with anything non-insurance related. Don't call our office if it's not about insurance. Please don't call or contact our office if it's about ice cream shop, anything that's not insurance related. Thanks.
This is... Well, you watched my video and interview, okay? And everything I stated on that, I'm giving you.
Yep.
I will not deter from that, okay? I had many individuals come over to me and say, Coach D, I watched your interview and video. Let me tell you something. Hey, you know what? Love the way you coach, but I don't like your views and ideas. Well, guess what? There's a window. Open, jump. What am I going to tell you? I mean, you know, really, seriously. Hey, I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to have you think. I just want you to think about things. That's it. I'm not here to change your mind. But I do know one thing. This I do know. They might not like 47. But at this time in our nation's history, right now, thank God we have them.
Where do we leave off?
We left off with speaking about education and technologies of society.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, technology's up society.
You guys
Well,
can jump back in.
Are we back in? Okay. Well, let's talk about. I want to hear about your coaching career because you're called Coach D. So, and
That's
that
right.
seems to be what everybody calls you. In fact,
That's correct.
do you even want to say what your government name is, or
I don't
we can
mind.
leave it with Coach D? That's fine.
That's cool. Okay. You can throw rocks at me at a later date. All right. Yeah, everybody calls me Coach D. And the reason why I got that nickname is when I was coaching in Italy, when I was stationed there, because the kids couldn't pronounce my name.
I don't think I could pronounce your name either.
Okay.
Will you say it?
Yeah, sure. There's 3 different ways of saying it.
Okay. There's got to be a right way though, right?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
not. I mean, if you're from like the northeast region of the country, they'll say Dematteis,
Okay.
okay, or Dematteis, or Dematteis. Either way,
There's no right way.
there's no right way. There's no
That's-
wrong way. So the kids in Italy that I coached at Livorno High School would say, "Hey, Coach D," and it always stuck.
Yeah.
So wherever I got stationed, I always had extracurricular duties, which I didn't mind because I made a couple extra bucks. And I enjoyed myself too.
Yeah.
I enjoy coaching. And my commanders would say, okay, you got command responsibilities, but I want you over to high school. So I'll give you a short one. I get to Germany, okay? And I was working at G4, J4, Patch Barracks, UCOM headquarters. So I had a general by the name of General Beckton. Great guy. And he was the first black African American corps commander. And the command sergeant major's name was Bellamy. Okay. So I walk in and I introduce myself to the general and the command sergeant major, customary. And the first words out of the command sergeant major's mouth, head to the high school. And I just looked at him. Now, I ain't going to argue with the E9.
No.
No, they'll tell me, I've already been told this, you're an overpaid private. Thanks. I like you too. Really. Okay, Pops. And the general looked at me and went, get over there. Yes, sir. So I walked over to Patch High School, which was on base. I walk in, I look at a picture. I shook my head. I said, you got to be kidding me. That's Gene Washington of the 49ers, the wide receiver, laid out against Spider Lockhart of the Giants, catching a pass. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, you got to be kidding. With a few other extra words that I won't say. Keep it G rated.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Here comes Coach Washington walking in. He looked at me. He says, you like that picture? I said, I like what you did to my Giants. It's not healthy. He says, you're the new basketball coach here. General Beckton assigned you, but you also have your military duties, which happens on a military base, especially overseas.
Sure.
Because you don't get many teachers through the Department of Defense education system that could actually coach.
Yeah.
All right? I'm going to tell you who I had. He's big. He's got a bald head with a great smile. He played at LSU. Shaquille O'Neal. Great young man. Stepfather, command sergeant major. Mother, she thought she was the coach. What are you going to do today, coach? I don't know. Beats me. Yeah, you got your fried chicken and and your muffins with the fresh honey? Coach, not until you tell me. I said, hey. Okay, all right, fine. But that right there, okay?
Can you clarify for me? Did you coach Shaquille O'Neal?
I did.
No way.
I did.
Out there at that base?
Yes.
Wow.
By the way, if you hear
That's
him,
pretty cool. You have not told me that before.
if you ever hear him speak about it, like
Yeah.
Germany,
Yeah.
foot poke, he
Mhm.
talks about it.
Does he really?
He does. Yeah,
Wow.
really.
He advertises for the general, so
He does. Yeah, he's got that military background. He's,
Yeah.
He's a dependent,
Yeah.
good guy, solid
Mhm.
guy. I liked him in Blue Chips. Really.
Haven't
with
seen
Nick
it.
Nolte. Oh, that's funny. I almost fell out
trying
of
to
my
remember
chair.
what movies I've seen him in.
Oh,
but-
geez. Space.
Space Jam.
Yeah, Space Jam.
Yeah.
He's a real character. He's a good guy. He really is. I also had Steve Burt, um, Vern Fleming. Oh, in Alabama, Dave Magadan, Golden Spikes Award winner. University of Alabama, played for the New York Mets. Finished his career with the Cubs. He played for me. And a few others along the line.
So where was your first coaching gig at?
My first coaching gig was in Germany. Yeah.
Wow.
That's when I started to build my civilian resume.
Yeah.
And to tell everybody listening and your viewers, Coach D didn't know if he was going to last on active duty because of my charisma.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
That's hard to believe.
I bet so, too. I wasn't the typical lieutenant.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. I wasn't the typical officer. I was hands-on. I ate with the troops in the mess hall. I would visit them in the barracks. If you don't mind me saying, my deceased wife played a big part in this too. Dad would bring over the large pot of chicken soup with fresh, what do you call them? Not cornbread, but
Like dinner rolls?
dinner rolls.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so hungry now.
Up to the front gate to the MPs.
Hmm.
I didn't have to tell her to do that.
Yeah.
Or she made her cookies for Easter.
Yep.
Bring them up to the front gate to the MPs. There was a delight. The other thing too, to just take one step back.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a teacher and a coach. Always.
Since when? I mean.
When I was in junior high.
Yeah.
In middle school. That's all I could think about.
Why?
Because a lot of teachers I had, and a lot of my coaches set me on the right path. I mean, I had great parents.
Right.
I had great parents. Don't get me wrong. I did. There's things we do. You don't tell your parents. Keep it between you and coach. What goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Sure.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were very influential in my life. And they were. Like, for instance, during my interview video, I mentioned a guy named Coach Steele. Okay? He wasn't only a coach, he was a father figure. And he was.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's who I wanted to be like. I wanted to be like one of those coaches. Hey, you know what? You're not doing well in class. What's your headache? Better yet, a lot of my players would call me the second forming of the White Shadow with Coach Reeves and the guys. Oh, by the way, I was up the last 3 nights watching that, 2, 3 in the morning. And I was.
You're always watching movies late.
I am, yeah. I love the White Shadow. That's one of my favorites.
I have not seen it.
Oh, you got to. You can Google it. You'll laugh like crazy, but it's reality.
Sure.
By the way, Crenshaw High School is where Darryl Strawberry went. Okay? That's where he graduated from. But as a coach, you have a lot of responsibilities. And by the way, it's like the equivalent of being a military commander. And it is, because you have to get ready for game day. You have to dissect film, CDs. You got to get the right kids at the right time for right situations. You got to know when you got to go to the mound and say, come with me. Are you okay? Can you last on the bump? Or how much wind do you have in your sails to go to next quarter? Or can you handle the rock against their man-to-man? You got to ask these questions.
Yeah.
And the one thing I did learn is that sometimes you got to trust those kids. I called many huddle, many years. And I would say, we're a family. Now we're down by 5. We got 1 minute left. You want to win? It's you, not me, you. You got to trust each other. You're the family, all of you. Not me, you. And by the way, I could call any scheme, any play. And by the way, you got to execute. Okay? So fellas, how bad do you want it? How bad? It's up to you. And I learned that. and by going to coaching clinics. And I could say the best baseball clinic I ever went to was at Busch Stadium with the legendary Coach Kittle. 60 years, one organization, Cardinals.
Wow.
Had the old
It's a
fungo bat.
long time.
Okay, yeah. He looked like Don Zimmer. He did. He had the chew. I mean, he was a baseball walking dictionary,
Yeah.
history book, Encyclopedia Britannica. So I'm there with maybe 100, 150 coaches. And he said, is there any questions? So Coach D raised his hand.
Yeah.
And I asked.
Yeah.
And I asked him this question. And here's the question. How much actual teaching do you do at the major league level than you ever did before, Coach? How to cut a base, how to take a relay, how to place your hands on a bunt, how to release the ball from third base. He looked at me and he said, you must be a military man, because I called him sir. Yes, sir, I am. I played at the U.S. Military Academy. He said this to me, I want to see you after this clinic. I sat with him in the Cardinal dressing room, okay, in the clubhouse, 2 hours, just me and him, talking baseball. Just pure baseball, nothing else. And I got up and I shook his hand. I said, sir, I want to say thank you for your time. See, that's how you learn. It's like when I sat with Coach Robinson at Grambling, when I sat with Coach Wooden, when I sat with Coach Lou Conasaka that just passed away, Storm and Norma Mizzou. I sat with him for an hour. See, you learn.
Yeah.
George Raveling.
Yep.
You learn. It's just like myself learning what Cody does on the electronic side and what you do on the insurance side of the house.
Yeah.
We spent many a time together figuring out different things.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think that value of just being willing to sit and learn is one that I'd really like to see more prominent. Because I do think when I think about the experiences that I'm proud of, it's sitting and just learning and soaking it in. And I feel like we move too fast in society to appreciate that.
I agree.
Yep.
I,
I'm soaking it in right now. I mean, I'll remember these conversations forever.
I had a 6th, 7th grade teacher by the name of Mr. Spinetta. He was an All-American back in the day at NYU. By the way, he played with Sat Sanders for the Violets when they went to the last NCAA.
Yeah, you are like an encyclopedia on this stuff.
Okay, and you know, Mr. Spinetta. And by the way, you think I'm a piece of work now? You should have met me then. I was a piece of work. I'm serious. I was.
Sure.
I had many teachers, coaches. Look at my parents. How do you handle this guy? How do you handle him? Okay. I didn't like bullies. I can't stand them. I despise bullies. I'll never forget this either. This hurts. Now you're going to, during this podcast, you've seen a few items that Coach D said, it really hurts inside. This really does too. I was playing ice hockey on Long Island. And I was playing with a kid. He was gifted. Could he skate? Handled the puck. And he was getting bullied in school. And this is when I really developed a hatred for bullies. Really. Seriously. So it was a Saturday night. And myself and my dad would put on the radio and listen to the computerized fights from Gillette. Because I boxed New York City Golden Gloves. And my dad boxed. And we would listen to the computerized fights. And we were waiting on the Muhammad Ali Graciano fight, the computer fight. So the phone rings. My mom answers it. And my mother she was upset, And right away, yours truly, I thought, oh man, I did something this time. Oh, what the heck? Why not? Go get your medicine. So she calls for my father first. It was my buddy's mother And then my buddy's father spoke to my dad, and his dad asked if Alex was there, meaning me. So my dad says, "Hey, Al, get in here." I said, "Okay." I said, "Everything all right?" My parents said no. And I was in 8th grade. They said, "Get the phone." This is Mr. So-and-so. "Yes, sir. What can I do for you?" "Well, I got bad news for you." "Bad news?" "I'm in 8th grade. Okay. Um, I don't know how to tell you this. I know you were very good. You were one of my son's very good friends. Alex, was he really getting bullied in school?" I said, "Every single day." And I couldn't understand it because he was a big kid. And he wouldn't fight back. He wouldn't defend himself. And I could never understand it. They found him in the closet and he hung himself, committed suicide. So I looked at my dad. I'll never forget this. This is the gospel truth. So I looked at my dad and I said to him, "You know what? We're not going to listen to the fight tonight. Okay? Could we just, you and mom, just sit in the living room?" He said, "Okay, Al, go get the chips, go get your Pepsi." My dad called it vitamins. That was his beer. So I get everything and I put it in the living room on the table. I was sitting there. And all I did was look up at the ceiling. That's it. My mom looked at me. She said to me, "What are you thinking of?" And the question was, of course, as an 8th grade kid, why'd he do it? Why'd he do it? So I could say. So when I went to the wake, the viewing, and I went to the funeral mass, after the funeral mass, I was the only kid invited to the luncheon. So I sat with the family. And I sat there, believe it or not, I was very quiet. And when Coach D gets quiet, and this is me, even as a kid growing up, there's a problem. And if I don't want to talk to someone, I'll tell them, "You better get the heck out of Dodge. I'm not going to talk to you. You cross that line with me, you're done. I don't even want to hear it. Unless you're willing to sit with me and put it on the table. Let the chips lay where they lay." Left the luncheon, went home. The next 2 days were very hard. Now, here's a kid you play hockey with for 3 years. He's your line mate. It's like your partner is short a second. Okay? It's like having another slot back. Whatever. You know? It's your best buddy. And all you can think of is, why did he do it? And why did they bully him? Well, it was Monday. I went to school. And I had a principal by the name of Mr. Caparelli. We were on a first name basis. You could fill in the blanks. And a guy named Mr. DeCosmo, he was the assistant principal. I went to my locker, I dropped my books, and I went on a royal rampage for those who bullied him. And I did. And I got pulled into Mr. DeCosmo's office, and I had to see Mr. Caparelli. And I had tears coming down my cheeks. And they knew why. And they had to call my parents. And they came up. And I went home. And I got suspended for a day. And I did. That was Monday, Tuesday, went back to school on Wednesday. And my father said to me, "You need to grow up. You need to understand." And this is where I got the phrase, "All kids don't play fair in the sandbox." And I got it from my dad.
Hmm.
I knew what he meant. I have a very distaste for bullies. So let's move on. Let's go to Rittner High School.
Yeah.
I'm teaching and coaching at Rittner. And there was a certain club. It was called the Gay Straight Society Club, or Gay Straight, Lesbian Straight Heterosexual Club, whatever it was. And the varsity basketball coach, women's, was the head of that club.
Okay.
So they put up a sign on the athletic director's door of what time the club meets. So a few of our goofballs that played basketball on the varsity boys side tore it down, ripped it up. So myself and the 3 other coaches get called into Mr. Cordy's office. And I was the principal. See, at Rittner High School, they had a principal for each grade. Big school.
Wow.
Big school.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was Dr. Cordy, Sam Galata, Mr. Lawrence, and Mr. LaChance. Okay. And myself, Jerry Nolan, the athletic director, and the 3 other coaches. We're all together. And Mr. Cordy asked, "Do any of you coaches know what happened?" And I said, "Sir, they went for a drink of water because the fountain was on the outside, because they had 2 gyms. You had the main field house, Costco, where you played your games. Then you had the upper gym where everybody practiced. Because, you have 4 programs, no, 6. Freshman, JV, varsity. You got to,
Yeah.
level it out."
Mhm.
So I said, "I don't know. Hey, I wasn't with them." Okay. So which one of you coaches are going to address that club for what happened? So I looked at the other 3 and they went, they pointed to me. I said, "Why me?" "Because you know how to deal with this. You can find a way not only to deal with it, to get things right, to patch things up." I said, "I'll do it." So they had a meeting, and that was on Tuesday, something like that. So they had a meeting on Thursday or Friday morning. So I go up there to the 3rd, 4th floor, and I knocked. Coach says, "Come on in, coach." And a lot of the kids knew me because I had cafeteria periods with them. I looked at everybody. "Good morning. How's everybody doing?" "All right, Coach D, I want you all to listen to what I got to say." So here it is. So let's get everything put on the table. Okay, we're adults, right? Okay. All right, fine. First of all, what happened to that sign is a no-go. That's wrong. Let's get this out of the way. That ain't gonna happen again. That's number 1. Number 2, you're all Huskies. You all attend Rittner. Okay, while you're in this building, because of who you are, what you are, nobody has the right to bully you or put their hands on you. It's number 2. Now we're going to come to the best part of the program, folks. Here's number 3. If you flaunt your lifestyle with any student in this building, they might not do it to you in this building, but when you walk out that door of this classroom, out the building, beyond the gates, you're free meat. And you better be able to deal what's going to come your way. I disagree with the lifestyle. I do. I'm being honest with you. But I respect you. You're students. Okay? I'm an educator. That's besides the point. It's just the humane thing about it. Okay? Again, Coach D disagrees with it.
Yeah.
Let's get this straight.
It's still respect.
Exactly. So if I catch anyone pinning you up against a wall locker or ripping the books out of your hands or verbally abusing you, they'll tell you, "I don't want to deal with Coach D. You send me to Mr. Cordy or whoever. I want to deal with this guy." And they'll tell you. Okay? So I did that. I got a standing applause. I said, "Folks, just remember who you are, what you are, where you're at." I'm asking you, okay? It's not much to ask. It's very little, really. And it's common sense. During the mornings, I had to be there for breakfast. The goth look. There was a kid, oh, you'll enjoy this. There was a kid that looked just like the Undertaker. So help me God. I looked up at him, I went, holy, what? And he dressed just like him and looked like him. All in black, remember the hat? Okay, the Padre hat. I'm like, man, this kid could bend me like a piece of linguine. Hello, Coach D. How are you? I'm doing okay. And I mean, this group was horrifying. Mike LaChance, now he's Dr. LaChance, would say to me, hey, Coach, you can handle him. I'll take care of it. All right, guys, let's go. Okay, and they were laying down on the floor, in the bookshelf, I mean, wherever they could find a cubbyhole. All right? And they had their own little location.
Mm-hmm.
That was their territory. That was their space. By the way, the only faculty member they allowed is the guy you're talking to. Was me. And I mean, they had the dark, the black, and the purple, and this and that. I said, hey, what a way to start the morning. Terrific. But I never had a problem.
Yeah.
One more. You ever hear the glow dance?
Have I ever had to glow dance?
No. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
You know what it represents. It ain't the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Let's get this out of the way. Cody, you ever hear the glow dance?
No.
Okay.
Do not know what glow dancing is.
Okay, here we go. I didn't know either until I found out I got to chaperone this fun, exhilarating festivity. So I said to Deb, I said, hey, I got to chaperone the dance. You want to come? Now, my wife is a very quiet, reserved lady, Catholic, da-da-da.
Yeah.
Never been around this.
Probably wouldn't be a glow dancer.
Exactly.
Got it.
So at the glow dance, they had the rings that illuminated. So each ring represented a sexuality. Okay. So Deb is working. I know you're listening up there. You're probably laughing. So she's working to the table. And she's got to hand out the rings. And I'm like this watching.
Does she know at this point?
No, she doesn't.
Good for her, you know?
Right, exactly. So she's handing them out. And my manager, a young lady, she comes on me, Coach, got to put my, I said, yeah, take the keys, put it in the coach's office, keep your coat there. When you leave, I'll give you the key, pull it out, da-da. So as the dance goes on, there's two young men of two different varieties. One Caucasian, one black African-American. And they were the artsy-fartsy type. So they go to mid-court and they're smacking lips. So Coach D walks over and says, gentlemen, not here. Okay, come on, fellas. All right? Listen, you know the handbook, and we got to live by it. That's the rule book. So, you know, you got to have one, right, that thinks he's a lawyer. Okay? He says to me, you're taking away my First Amendment rights. You don't have First Amendment rights here. This is the book. This is the rule book. You know what you can do, and you know what you can't do.
Yeah.
That's it. Done.
Yeah.
The other guy says to me, I'm going to sue you. I said, go ahead. Sue me. What are you going to get, my dirty underwear and socks? Great. Now, fun part of the program. Guess where I'm parked? Right next door to who? Heckle and Jekyll. Those are Ravens. It was a cartoon. Just for the viewers and the listeners to know.
Sure.
Nothing derogatory. Google it. Heckle and Jekyll. You'll die laughing. They're funny. So anyway, they're walking behind my car. And I said, hey, fellas, don't touch the car. That's it. Now, go in the car and go home. Or go wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
Okay? Next thing I know, Monday rolls around. Over the MC. Coach D, come see me. Mr. Cordy, the principal. I said, what's up? There's their parents in the boardroom. Okay? And each and every individual public school district has a lawyer, just in case there are problems.
Sure.
For faculty members.
Yeah.
I said, what are you doing here? And he said, Coach, stop. Okay. They tried to get me on verbal abuse. Verbal abuse? Really? Did you ask these two characters what they said to me in the gym? Did you? And I'm looking right at the parents. Did you ask them? Hey, gentlemen, would you like to tell your mother and fathers what you said to Coach D? Hey, better yet, why don't you tell them what you said in a threatening manner when you went behind my car? And my wife with the window down listening to this. Fun and excitement. Want to tell the truth? You guys are seniors, right? Yeah, coach. You want to graduate? Well, you don't. Or you want it mailed to you and not walk across the stage. And then do your antics while you're walking across the stage. So what do you want? Finally, they apologized to me. I looked at the parents and said, this guy thinks he's Johnny Cochran, and this guy thinks he's F. Lee Bailey. When did they ever go to law school? Okay?
I don't know how we got down that, but
Yeah. So the parents walked out. Okay, so as a teacher and a coach, guess what? You have all these fun extravagances, parties, dances, all of the above. As we were driving home, no, first we went to Applebee's, because Applebee's is right across from Rittner. You get out of Rittner, you go to Applebee's. And we were with friends, coaches, other faculty members, and they're dying laughing. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, what are we doing in this nut house? May I ask? And they're just laughing. And all the way home, Deb would just look at me and say to me, does this go on every day? And I looked at her and I said, hey, this isn't even the top of the iceberg. Okay, by the way, not even the cherry on a banana split. And we laughed all the way home. But
well, here we're getting close to the 4 o'clock hour, so I don't know if you want to go to
we
in
can.
life or you just
no, we're good.
Sure.
Okay. So with that in mind, teaching and coaching is an endeavor.
Yeah.
You better have a thick skin.
Yeah.
You better have a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
And most of all, you better have very good communication skills.
Yeah, and remember your conversations. Tell me about the time you interviewed here at Fayette.
Okay. Coach Smith, Fred Smith.
Yeah.
Was good friends
Fayette
with
High School or Central? He was at Central, right?
Yeah, he was at Central College.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
As the baseball coach and coach of the year.
Yep.
Fantastic coach. I'll tell you now, and a real, distinguished gentleman. He would always say, take the high road. And he was built that way. So he made a phone call for me. There was a middle school and a high school position open.
When was this?
It had to be, it's about maybe 2025. Yeah, about 4 years ago.
Like 4 years ago now?
Yeah.
Like 2020 you're talking about?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Well, it didn't go well. And
I guess not. Yeah.
No, it didn't. And I couldn't understand why, because I had the portfolio, I had my resume, they had the applications. Coach Smith made the phone calls. Okay. I also had my other artifacts because I brought the whole barrage with me. Again, you want to read what other individuals have written about you to give an idea of who you actually are.
Right.
Come to find out, the administration was not going to hire me in the first place for the simple reason that I wasn't from this community, I didn't live in this community, and I am an outsider. I found out about that.
How'd you find out about that?
I'm not giving it.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, and I promised 2 individuals I wouldn't.
Fine by me.
Thank you. Certain things you don't let loose. And that's a fact. So I was going to call the principals, middle and high, but I said, no, I wouldn't do it. I faced this problem when I first moved to St. Louis. And I did. I was without work for 6 months. 6 months, gentlemen. You got a wife, You got sons, you got a mortgage, you got responsibilities. And the first thing that went through the trap, meaning my mind, is this what it's going to be while living here? And I started making phone calls out of state that have veteran communities. Okay. And I came real close to moving. Deb was already gone. The guys already had their lives established.
Yeah.
Okay. There was nothing here for me. And I don't like being lazy. I don't. And I don't consider myself a lazy individual. And I don't. When individual communities, and I live in one right now, stop becoming territorial and not willing at all, to give any individual a chance of proving themselves, that's not the America I fought for. That's not the America I wore a uniform for. That's not the America that our dreams and aspirations, when we get out, that we felt for what we did and how we did it,
Yeah.
that we could become part of the fabric of any community, urban, suburban, or rural, in America.
Yep.
That is very hard to live with. I filled out the application, at the college. It went to the selection committee. And again, same thing. Same thing. That's wrong. And that's why I say and I stipulate to many individuals, regardless who you are or what you are, or I use the flavor that you are. If you're a decent individual and you try to do it right, and you try to live in the right manner, and we all fail. I'm not perfect. I admit it. Okay? I did things, said things. I wish I could take them back. Literally. But I can't. It's a foregone conclusion. And you got to move on. And you got to go forward. But to do what a lot of cities, communities, again, urban, suburban, rural do, and how they go about it in a very sneaky, disturbing manner is not right. At least have the guts. Have the guts. When that individual calls and says to that individual in HR or whoever, you, Cody, regardless, well, how come I didn't get the position? Well, I think you're not fit because of, you might need a little more education. And then once you get the education, come back to see me. Or in your position, you need to work more on the technical skills. And no, really. And learn the technical aptitudes of what I do, okay? Or learn the insurance business a little better. Or I think you need to understand that the climate that I'm in, you need sometimes to take the foot off the accelerator, okay? At least have the guts, to do what? To mention to that individual, especially a veteran. See, we're different, and we are. Gentlemen, I don't mean that to be rude, condescending, or belligerent. Let's get this out on the table right now. And listeners and viewers, I don't mean it in a way that you're going to take it in an absurd way. No, we are different because we're built differently, okay? When we're given a job, we're given a task, we're given a mission, it's done. Now, it could be right, wrong, or indifferent, and you're talking to yours truly, and I experienced all three myself. And I did. Okay? Well, when you sit down and you say, hey, Al, hey, coach, I think you need to look at this regulation. I think you need to look at how recruiting is done. I think you need to look at, okay, this is the classroom marginal, and you got to meet the 12 national standards. So your unit lesson plans and lesson plans match up with what? Your unit and lesson plan. That's happened. It has. And I sat down with that individual and I said, thank you. So let's get this corrected. Okay? How I would talk to one student, okay, and I was corrected on this, and I was. It's not like talking to one of your athletes or talking to an athlete and talking to one of your managers who is a student.
Mm-hmm.
We feel betrayed. We do. I speak to many veterans every day, and I do. And many of them told me, you know, coach, I feel betrayed. Why? Because I submit application after application after application, and nobody's telling me what's right or wrong.
Hmm.
I say, fellas, welcome to the civilian world. And that's why, and I'm going to say this to the both of you and your listeners. That's why many veterans become a little ballistic, because we just want the truth. Don't hide it from us. Because if we find it, we find out, good luck. And right away, individuals think, well, it's going to be the same catastrophe of what happened at Fort Stewart, Georgia, today,
That happened this morning or last night?
this morning.
Yeah.
Okay? Or what happened at Fort Hood a couple of years ago. Okay? See, again, this all tails back to Landon, Cody, listeners, to that 7% compared to 93%. Because the 93% only get what's on TV, what they read, what they listen to, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 1 millionth hand of information. Or as number 47 would say, fake news. The truth's the truth. So with that ordeal that I had to deal with, and here's the worst part of the program, gentlemen, they talk to each other. It doesn't matter what community, Carl, doesn't matter, because these administrators talk to each other. Coaches talk to each other. Administrators, teachers. And now you're on the blacklist. That's happened. Many times. That's happened. It's not right. It's not fair. It is, and I use this as an example so we can move on.
Well,
It is-
I have a question around this because I feel like what you're describing is a very natural outcome in a lot of sectors. Like, for example, if I treated you poorly, I bet all of your people know.
Wrong.
Wrong? Okay. Well, you've talked to me about like blacklisting before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so like, I'm not saying it's the same, but I feel like,
If you're talking about me as an individual,
sure.
talking to my cronies,
Yeah.
counterparts, I don't do that. Because I learned on active duty, that's a bad way to go. That's not healthy. And it isn't. I had to relieve a company commander of his command 90 days out before deployment. Now, I was hoping and praying there was only a certain amount of individuals that would know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I refused to answer them. And I did. And I wouldn't. I had to fire coaches. I wouldn't answer to anyone else except for 3 individuals: athletic director, principal, superintendent. That's it. Done. Anybody else? No. See, I'm not built that way. If I didn't like the way I was treated here, okay, I'm not going to let nobody else know outside your doors. That's us. That stays here. Either we find a way that we can communicate with each other and we find a way of how to handle it.
Yeah. We'll reconcile. But no, I
Or-
forget the
or
term you
else we
used
could-
was red line.
Yeah, right.
Where's that line at?
Okay, where's that line at?
Yeah.
That is gossip, lying, telling false truths, innuendos, storytelling, which is very harmful. Very harmful.
So that's the stuff that would get people redlined by your community, is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
No. The military community is not my community.
Okay.
That's not, I'm part of it.
Sure.
Okay, that's,
Well, not yours. I was just
I mean,
referring to
I
the
understand.
military.
No, I
Yeah.
agree with you. You're right. No, that's a great way of putting it. We had an army before a country, 1 year. It's our 250th birthday, United States Army. But the thing is this, okay? I'm not built that way. It would have been very easy for me. Get in the car, come this way, and go over there to the middle school and the high school and look at both the principals and say, what's going on?
Sure.
And you know what would have happened to me? I'll tell you what would have happened to me. 911. Here comes PD. That's what would have happened to me. And then they would listen to my accent. And then the bowling ball goes down the lane, and I'm not bowling strikes. I'm coming up with gutter balls. I'm definitely going to lose on this gig. So what do I have to lose? I'll tell you what I have to lose. Believe me, it went through my head. My state certification, teaching and coaching, jail time. There goes my certifications. And there goes my livelihood.
Yeah.
Out the window. Is it worth it? No. But the but factor is this. And I'm going to say this. Maybe those two administrators were thinking, well, we got rid of him, and he ain't going to come back to us no more. Well, we don't want his type in our community. We don't want his type around our school. Look at where he's from. Oh, yes, I've heard this too. Well, he's from the Northeast. He's liberal. He's an anarchist. No, this hurts
Wow.
because they don't know me.
Right. Yeah. I'm listening to you use those words. I'm
Right,
like,
exactly. Hey, you know, it happens. Hello.
Yeah, sure.
Okay?
Yep.
This is the thought process. Okay? When you go to a school like I did with all 50 states and territories, when you go to a school like I did with all 50 states and territories, you're dealing with multiple personalities from multiple different types of regions of the country and socio-economical parameters. You have the haves and you got the have-nots. Those who went to prep schools and guys like me that didn't. You got to deal with it. And this is what had given me some sort of an inner fiber inside myself to deal with this in a way that would keep me under control and keep me vibrant of where I'm at and who I'm with. Okay? I was at Boonville High School. I went through a whole basketball season with a certain coach at Jefferson City now. They can't even win out of a wet paper bag. At the end of every practice, made remarks about me like no tomorrow. That's right, gentlemen. He did, and he knows it. And if he's listening, he knows who I'm talking about. Coach D didn't say anything in return. Why? Because look where I'm at. A, I'm in that community. B, I wasn't invited into that community. C, an individual helped me to get into the school community. And D, most of all, if I would have did anything or said anything, that would have been it. And the kids came over to me. They did. They came over to me.
When were you coaching at Boonville?
A couple of years ago. By the way, if you don't mind,
I was about to. Yeah.
let me show it to you. If you want to read this out loud, go ahead. You got my go. There you go.
Is this from Fred Smith or to Fred Smith? This says to Fred Smith. Okay. All right. A Thursday with Coach D. Is this it?
That's it.
School had just let out, and the hallways were busy with kids and teachers hustling through the hallway to get to their cars, practice, or the bus. I was grabbing my backpack from my locker in a hurry to get to the Commons to snag a spot at a table. I sat down and patiently waited for my interviewee to meet up with me. I heard his voice traveling down the hall as others high-fived and talked with him. He finally made it up to the Commons and sat down right across from me. Learning life lessons as discussed in the book Tuesdays with Maury with Coach D made me learn to appreciate everything I have in life and to never take anything for granted. Coach D and I started off our interview a little rocky, as he had bought batteries for a radio player so he could play a CD interview he had from around 20 years ago. However, he accidentally bought the wrong size batteries. I quickly walked up to the office to see if they had the correct size, and I came hustling back with the radio in one hand and batteries in another. After putting the batteries in and fidgeting with them for what seemed like forever, those batteries were most definitely dead, and then asked me to ask him his first question. My first question for him was, do you consider yourself successful? He immediately responded with, are we successful as individuals? Are we successful with our own personal feelings? Are we successful in our everyday lives? Are we successful in what we bring to the table as individuals? These questions all stuck out to me. Everyone views success differently. Therefore, it is hard to determine whether you feel successful. You might consider yourself successful, but your neighbor might think you aren't. Coach D stated, the magnitude of success is wild. It's not just being who you are, it's what you are on a daily basis. People will remember you based on how you were from day to day or every interaction you encounter with them. They will remember how you are successful from your daily lives, not the millions of dollars you might have owned. My next question with Coach D was rather personal as I dove deeper into his family life, including his widow, Deborah Ann Dematteis. She passed in 2010, but it is clear that Coach D and her still kindle a close relationship. I asked Coach D if there was anything he did every day to honor her. He gave me a response that made me emotional. I would say 2 or 3 times on a Sunday every month, I got my folding chair, I got my cooler, iced tea, unsweet, lemons, and Splenda, a Subway sandwich, a bag of chips, and myself and Debbie have a great conversation. This statement made by Coach D put a wave of emotions over our conversation. He then proceeded to explain that if we have someone whom we hold close to our hearts or that special someone in our life, we should never take our time with them for granted. We never know how much time we have left with someone, so we must make the most of our time together with that person. I continued to listen as Coach D gave me ample stories about his time in the military and all the life lessons he has learned in his life. He kept me intrigued the entire interview, and I enjoyed hearing his many stories. The final topic we discussed was forgiveness. I simply asked him, do you forgive easily? He took a long pause before answering. I can see that and hear that. And I sensed he was thinking long and hard about how to answer. He eventually answered back with, I almost always forgive, but I never forget. This sentence is something that I completely agree with, and many others would agree with as well. It is easy to forgive, but it is hard to forget. Of course, there are certain situations where forgiveness is a lot harder to give. Personally, I also tend to forgive easy, but I will never forget what you did. All in all, I'm thankful that Mrs. Smith assigned this assignment to give all of us the opportunity to learn about life lessons from other people. I'm also thankful that I was able to interview Coach D from an outside perspective without getting to know him. I had an idea of who he was, but I really didn't know the true Coach D. After getting to sit down and have a really in-depth conversation with him, I know now just how much Coach D has been through and how many lessons he has been able to share with me. For those reasons, that is why I chose him as my interviewee, to get a perspective on life from someone who is not from around our community. Talking with Coach D and discussing the lessons on Tuesdays with Maury helped me to learn and appreciate life and everything that comes with it.
Read that one.
Dear team, today in the office, Coach D came in. I was manning the front desk for Miss Linneman. We also had Brian, our substitute custodian, in the office. Coach D stopped and made a point to have an entire conversation with Brian in sign language. You can speak in sign language?
Fluently.
He was very fluent, and it just made Brian's day. Honestly, watching Brian's face light up was the highlight of the day. I just wanted to share. Along those lines, 4 players on the St. Paul Lutheran team the other night were from Serbia. As we were going through the handshake line after the game, I was right behind Coach D. And when he got to one of the Serbian kids, he started speaking to him in Russian. And I saw that kid's face light up and a big smile come across his face, and they spoke in Russian for a few moments. Coach D has many talents yet undisclosed. Feels like a good way to wrap, Coach. I appreciate you spending time with me. And do you want to share about this folder real quick?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I got a very special friend over at Harry S. Truman VA Hospital. And I asked for a folder, and she had given it to me. And it has all the information possible that a veteran might need. The folder consists of all information needed for veterans on home loans, medical, buying a home, where to go, talk to insurance agents, the whole ball of wax, everything in it. So I brought it over here to Mr. Landon Ball and his office and his team, because in the community, and especially Missouri, is number 2 in the nation with the largest block of veterans
Wow.
in our nation right now. So if Mr. Landon Ball or any of his insurance agents have a veteran that comes in and they're asking peculiar questions like Coach D did, thank you, okay? His team helped me out a great deal, and they're good folks here.
I didn't pay him to say that. I didn't pay you
No,
to say
that wasn't, no. By the way, don't worry about it. I'll get a Benjamin out of him. Okay. So,
I'll get you some ice cream.
crooked.
Yeah.
I'll
there you
take
go.
the ice cream.
Yeah, I got
But
you.
overall, many veterans, because of this present administration, has given us a lot to work with and a green light to go with in purchasing a home and living the American dream, because we served our nation and we served it proudly. So with that in mind, I brought the packet over to Mr. Landon Ball to show to the rest of his agents where that they could help other veterans and their families. So thank you for letting me do that.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me.
Oh, super
Cody,
fun.
thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for always chatting. I know you're good at it, but thanks for always chatting with me. I appreciate it. You don't have to do that. So we'll do this again. We can talk about some of the foreign stories that you've got, and maybe you can share some of those different languages you've got. But for now, this is good. So appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, fellas.
Outro music.